What's up, everybody? Blessed Nativity. Today we have a very special Christmas lesson where I'm going to be teaching you my favorite of all of the Christmas hymns, the first ode of the Katavasias of Christmas. First, we're going to learn the melody with Parallagi, and then we're going to move on to the words together. By the end of this lesson, you will have learned this piece so that you can chant it either at home by yourself or in church. Also, big thanks to John Michael Boyer for letting me use his composition for this video. It comes from his Son of Justice Christmas book, which contains his compositions for all of the services of Christmas. It's a great book and I'd highly recommend it. If any of you guys are looking to pick up a copy, I'll leave a link for it down in the description below. Now, before we jump into the lesson, of course, you have to hear what this hymn actually sounds like, so I've made a recording for you. So let's listen to that first, and then we will dive right into the lesson. Now Christ is born, therefore glorify. Now Christ has come from heaven, encounter him. Now Christ is on earth, be raised on high. Sing your praise to the newborn Lord, all the earth, and with jubilation all you peoples raise the hymn, for he is glorified. Alright, welcome to the lesson portion of the video. Let's dive right into it. So on the top right here, we have hijos, of course, which means mode, this word right here. Then we have the modal signature for first mode, and pa, which is telling us that their scale is based on pa. We're starting on pa, right? So what this is basically telling us is that we're in first mode based off of pa. Now here, we're going to start on pa here with our ison, and I will say that this lesson assumes that you already know how to read Byzantine notation. If you don't know how to read Byzantine notation, go back to my series on how to read Byzantine notation. I've done a 10-video lesson series on that. You can check those out, learn how to read the notation, and then come back to this video. I'll link that video series in the description. Here's our apígima for first tone. And let's hear what this first phrase will sound like on Parallagi. Pa diga ke diga gabu pa pa diga bu ga di ke diga gabu pa. So nothing crazy in this first section. Remember, the psifiston mainly just means you're going to emphasize those notes there. They also fall on the first beat of most of these measures here. The down, right? The thesi. So make sure that you are going to emphasize those just a little bit. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. Let's keep it going. Pa di ke ga di ke di zo ke li. So here we have this up to the zo from the the. And remember, when the zo is hit and going back down to the the, it's going to be flat. Okay? Zos would be natural if we were heading up to the ni from that zo, but since we're hitting it and going back down to the the, it is going to be attracted downwards. So it's a flat zo here. So same thing right here. We're going zo ke di. So our zo is going to be flat once again, which is notated here. Zo ke di ke ga di bu ga di ga bu ga di ke ga di. All right, other than that, zo, really nothing too crazy in this phrase right here. Di ke zo. Once again, we have this flat zo, right? Because we're just hitting the zo and going back down. We are not taking it all the way up to the ni. Di ke zo ke ni ga di ga bu di ga bu pa pa. So one last thing here that you'll notice is that here we have an andikenoma. That's that sideways candy cane looking thing underneath the apostrophos with an a pli in the middle. So remember, an apli is going to add add a beat of rhythmic value to whatever character it's underneath. Of course, we have the gorgon afterwards, so this character in total is going to be 1 beat and a half. But what I want to talk more about is the ornamental quality of this particular character. So this adikenoma with the apli in the middle is a super common thing that we see in Byzantine music all of the time. And there's different ways that people do it, but the two general ways that I like to execute this are either to do an up and down wave around the note with my voice. Vo, vo. So you can tell that I'm going vo, down, vo, pa, pa. Right there. Now that's if you're going at a slower tempo. You're not always going to have time to execute that with your voice. So you could always just do a little flip with your voice as well. Viga vo pa pa vo pa pa. So I'll do this last phrase from here to here for you one more time. And then I'll sing the whole thing on Parallagi before we try the Melos. Dike zoke liga liga vo papa. All right, let's hear the whole thing on Parallagi. Paliga keliga gamu pa paliga muga li keliga gamu pa palike gali keli zokeli Zoke kendi di ke gadi bulgadi gabulgadi ke gadi di ke zoke ni gadi gamu papa. Hey everybody, if you're enjoying this lesson so far, you can go down to the description and find the link for my free 8-mode reference guide. It's a great resource for beginners and intermediate chanters alike, containing hymns for beginners in each tone, along with recordings of those hymns and recordings of professional chanters in Greece singing hymns in every single mode for you. Also, if you like my teaching style, feel free to go down to the description below and schedule a lesson with me. Okay, enough shameless self-promotion, let's get back to the lesson. So that's the Parallagi. Now let's move on to the words, or Melos. So let's take this first phrase all the way up until this martyria of Pa here. Onanes. Now Christ is born, therefore glorify. Now Christ has come from heaven, encounter him. Nothing crazy, just like we saw in the Parallagi. Let's keep moving. Now Christ is on earth, be raised on high. So again, we have this flat zo here. Raised on high. And you can kind of emphasize that one a little bit again, right? Because we've got that psifiston underneath. And you can give it a little bit of oomph there. I'll try it one more time for you so you can hear that, and then we'll move on. Now Christ is on earth, be raised on high. If you'd like to, since we have the psifiston underneath that oxia, you could also approach it from the top. You could go, now Christ is on earth, be raised on high. That's if you want to get a little fancy with it. You could also just sing it normally. Okay, so let's keep going here. Sing your praise to thy newborn Lord, all the earth, and with jubilation glorification. So here we have another flat jaw like we talked about with the Parallagi. And here we kind of have an opportunity to do a little bit of twirly ornamenting with our voice if we'd like to, since we're holding that word earth. We have the petasti here, which remember the petasti, of course, you would do a flutter, not all the time, depending on how fast you're going, but here it does give you a bit of an opportunity, in my opinion, to do some nice fluttering with your voice here, some ornamentation. So let's hear that one more time. Sing your praise to the newborn Lord of the earth, and with jubilation. And then we'll keep going here all the way to the end. All you peoples raise the hymn, for he is glorified. So once again, we have that ornamentation at the end here with this andikenoma and the apli. Reified, reified, or reified. I'll do both ways from this martyria of thee here. All you peoples raise the hymn, for he is glorified. So that's the reified, reified. Now I'll just do a little small flip at the end there. All you peoples raise the hymn, for he is glorified. All right, so that's the Melos. Now I'll put it all together for you so you can hear what this would sound like. Onanes. Now Christ is born, therefore glorify. Now Christ has come from heaven, encounter him. Now Christ is on earth, be raised on high. Sing your praise to the newborn Lord of the earth, and with jubilation all you peoples raise the hymn, for he is glorified. And that's going to be it for our lesson today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Hope you're having a blessed nativity with you and your family. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.